In the previous video, we saw how we can work with more complex scene in MUDBOX, and we created more models in a single scene. So we continue to add more models, and we also started to work with the transforming tools like move, rotate, and scale, and selection. We also focus on the parts here about the display, so how we can hide and show parts of the scene, so some of the models, and how we can display them with wireframe, and also how we can lock them up or freeze them. So we saw how we can do different operations using the selection in combination with other commands, which are really important for managing the scene and the objects that are inside it. So we continue to explore MUDBOX. We are getting more and more into deep. And we saw that all these models here are called meshes. Now, a mesh is an object which contains polygons. So it's a polygonal model. And this is what we're going to use also in this video. But this time we're going to import it from the external sources. So we talk about display, we talk about editing, we talk about managing, we talk about these various types of selections, and also how we can access the different tools like the simple sculpt, brush, and also again the selections. Now, instead of using the create mesh and these standard samples that we have in ZBrush, we're gonna get it from the outside. So we're gonna get extra models. We're gonna see essentially how we can import from other sources. So we're just gonna go in the file import, and these are the formats that we can use. Now, the most popular here are the FBX and the OBJ. So this is the ones that we're gonna use where we're gonna do our examples. But if you have a scene that it's already in the MUDBOX format, which is .mud, you can definitely use that, and that's gonna save you a lot of trouble, essentially. Now, in the other cases, I usually prefer to use FBX. It's usually giving me less issues than OBJ, but we're gonna try in the course to use all the available formats. Now, in this video, we're gonna focus on two formats. Well, actually, one format, which is gonna be FBX, and also how we can convert other formats into FBX. So I'm just creating a new scene here, and instead of starting with a new sculpture, with a new sample that is available here in the welcome screen, I'm just gonna say, okay, I don't want all of that. I want to create a new scene, but without anything that is available here. So I'm just gonna say close. No, don't say exit MUDBOX, but just close the welcome. And this is now an empty scene. Well, except the cameras that we have by default and the light and the default material. So let's go now in Google or any other search engine. I'm gonna type free 3D models, and you will find really a lot of websites where you can get all sorts of 3D models. But I'm gonna focus on a couple of these in this video. First one, I think, is probably the best one to get like really highly detailed and professional models with all the textures and the mapping and everything is Polyhaven. Polyhaven is totally free, and you don't need to create an account. You can just get in here and you can see how many objects you have, like product design or furniture design, food, and sculpture, other stuff here, tools, and organic shapes like rocks and plants. So you can really study all the models that you find here. This is going to be really important and interesting. Now, this one here is a chair, and you can see up there is going to let you select the resolution of the textures, which are the images that will define the material. And also the formats here. We have Blender, which is open source. And if you are interested, you can see the video course in Blender in the channel, and other videos about Blender in the channel. And Blender, you can download it and install it for free. It's an open source software. GLTF, it's a format that it's usually defined as open source format. And then we have FBX, which is originally created from Autodesk. So I'm gonna use FBX, say download into a specific folder here, which I've called import. and I've downloaded already some stuff that I'm gonna show you perhaps later. But right now, let's just download this, and it's gonna be a zipped folder. So make sure that you unzip or you extract the content inside the zipped folder. So I'm just gonna right click and say extract, and or copy and paste outside that folder. So you need to make sure that you don't access a zip folder. You can see there is also an option to download a zip file. Now let's see here what's inside this folder. So I'm just gonna go in Windows here. So we have a texture folder. These are all the textures that will be needed if you want to create the material in another software. And this one here is the model itself. So we're gonna use it into MUDBOX. We're gonna make a test. Now, if I right click and go into the properties, I can see that this is FBX. That's the most important thing. It needs to be FBX or OBJ. So let's go into MUDBOX. Let's go to File, Import. Click here, navigate into the import folder, well, whatever folder you created, and there it is. So I will just double click there, select the FBX, and just click on Open on the button there down at the top, at the bottom right corner there. So open it up, and now it's going to be imported. Now you can see it's already telling me that there are problems here, but not every time it's going to tell us that. We're actually going to find some issues. So the model is there. The first thing, I would go there in the object list and check if the model is actually there. Well, it is. Now it's just a matter of probably is too big or too small, or is not centered in the origin. So we already talked about that previously. So let's see how we can solve this. Well, the first thing you could do is just go and select all, so that you can make sure that you're selecting everything. Well, you can do this just to make sure, but if you select it there and the object list should be already selected. And then you do frame selection. So it's gonna frame whatever you have imported, and there you go. So frame selection is probably one of the most important tools when you are beginning with the scene and you are importing stuff from the outside. And there you go, this is our beautiful chair. And if I deselect it, I can see it a little bit better. So just click there on something else. Well, these are the materials, by the way. So we imported the material for the pillow and for the structure and the legs and the seat. So we have everything there. Materials, object, beautifully imported. So this is why I usually prefer FBX. It's the less problematic format. So we can already see polygons there. So this is thanks to the wireframe that we activated. So if you want to see the wireframe, remember, press W, and you can see that it doesn't have so many polygons. Now the main objective, the main goal is to have beautiful objects, but to keep the polygon number down. But well, if we want to add details, if you want to go more into details in sculpting, we'll need more than that. But we're gonna talk about the level of subdivisions, so the number of polygons, later. We can see that we can move it, we can scale it, we can rotate it, we can manipulate it. We can also select the faces. So we can select the object and the faces. So if I click here, you can see I'm selecting faces, but I think it's a really small brush. So it's either too big, the model, it's either too big, or the brush is too small, but we can fix that. So if we, let's say we want to sculpt on this, you can see if you double click on the sculpt tool with the first sculpt brush, you have a size parameter there. Now that's really important, and we're gonna fix it also later. And if you hold the B key, you can change the size. So you can change the size also there in the properties panel. And you can see now if I click and drag, now it will be visible because I have a bigger size. So you can see how I am sculpting onto that object. And let's deselect it so we can see better. So you can see it looks pretty edgy. It looks pretty like sharp. It doesn't look smooth and nice because we don't have enough polygons. So this is why having a high number of polygons is really important. But with a smooth effect, we can like hide a little bit of that sharpness, but later we will see that sooner or later we need to switch into more defined object, adding subdivisions and level of subdivisions. Now you can also select here, and we also have other type of selection like the lasso select and the rectangular selection there in the property panel. So every time we double click, we access to different properties which are related to the tool that we are using in the moment. So right now I'm using selection, so those parameters there, there are options there in the properties, they refer to these tools. So just hold Control to deselect, hold Shift to add to the selection. These are the two keys, the Shift key to add to the selection, Control key to deselect when you are using the face selection. So you can see also on the structure here of the chair, I can select parts of the chair, and that's looking more rigid. So the more curves I have, the more softness I want to have on my object, the more polygons I want to have. But if I have like straight corners, straight lines, I don't need too many polygons. Now let's go back to Polyhaven here. So right here you can see other information, and usually you have also the wireframe that is going to show you how many polygons are there. And usually you also have like some indication on how many polygons or how many vertices. And here in MUDBOX, remember, you will find it in the bottom right. So right now we have a total of like almost 9,000 polygons, and selected the same number because we only have one object in the scene. So the total scene is equal to the object that we are using. Now I want to show you also this other website, which is called Polycam. And again, you will find video guides about Polyhaven, Polycam in our channel. Just look in the channel, just type in the search bar whatever you're looking for. You will find courses, video guides, and so on many different topics. And this one here is called Photogrammetry. It means that, well, I'm gonna search for sculpture here. Now essentially photogrammetry is turning images into 3D. So you use your phone, you start to take pictures, or you take a video of something, and Polycam is gonna convert it into a 3D. So it's kind of a scanner. And this one here is one of my tests that you can see again in a video dedicated to Polycam, when I use my smartphone to create this 3D. So I just took so many pictures around this little statue, and Polycam converted that into 3D scene. Well, it needs to be cleaned up, so you need to work then on the model to clean it up and to adjust it. Sometimes models are already cleaned up and optimized to be used in any 3D software. So I'm gonna show you this sculpture here, which is a head, and I don't know if it's like Julius Caesar or another like emperor. Now, if you click there to download this, it's only gonna give you the GLTF in the free version. Otherwise, you need the pro version. But I'm just gonna do an example here on how you can handle open source formats. And this could happen also in other websites. So it's possible that you don't find FBX and OBJ. So you need to know how to use that. You can see it's not recognized by MUDBOX. I downloaded that in the download folder, so it's visible by Windows. I can see there the preview of the 3D, but is not usable in MUDBOX until we convert it. Now there are many converters out there also on the web that will help you to convert your 3D models, but I'm going to show you here how to do it in Blender. I think that it's important that you know at least Blender or a software, a 3D software like Cinema 4D or 3D Studio Max. You need to know a software that will help you to fix issues, to adjust the meshes. And Blender, it's totally open source and free, so you can just go there, download it, install it, and use it. So this is why I'm using Blender to do this example. And well, I'm not gonna explain too much about Blender. There is an entire video course again that will explain everything to you, and also about Polycam and Polyevent. So again, search it in the channel. So I'm gonna go just here right away, File, Import, and I'm gonna import in GLB or GLTF. That's, I think, the same thing. And I'm gonna navigate into the folder where I stored this one here. So it's in my MUDBOX and import. There we go. So this one is the GLB file, and now there it is. So if I zoom in, I can see it's very detailed, and the photogrammetry is really accurate. If I zoom, you can see how many polygons are there. Really a lot of polygons. So be careful also that the object is not so heavy. So the Polycam files contains a lot of information about the geometry, but also they will come with a texture. So let's now focus on the geometry. So if I just if I want to export it, just convert it into FBX. You can see I can now export into FBX. So I'm just gonna type here sculpture head or just sculpture. And if I want to export only the selected object, I can just select the head in the scene there by clicking on that and export it. And I think I will keep everything as it is. You can see the forward, it's Z, and the epsilon is up. So this will be good for MUDBOX. So I'm gonna leave it like that and just export. Okay, so you can see how easy it is to import export using Blender. So we basically made a conversion, and now we can import it in MUDBOX. So I'm gonna navigate again into the import, and this one here is the one that I've just created, sculpture. So I'm gonna open it up, and now that we have many more issues, because photogrammetry is just another way you can create 3D models, but you can see it has some issues about the vertices. So you can read here all the problems and the various issues that we have, like non-manifold, and we have like vertices that like have too many edges, and also like probably they are not perfectly placed together. So it's kind of a, I don't want to say a mess, but it's kind of like it's not so consistent. It's well, we're gonna see that, and we're gonna see how to fix this. So just to show you what's gonna happen here if you have a mesh that is not done correctly and it has these issues, and like the vertices are not merged well, so it's gonna give you a lot of errors. All those red dots there are errors in the mesh. But again, this is how photogrammetry works. It's kind of a patchwork where the model is an assembly of different patches of different like surfaces stick together, but not like perfectly merged. So it's gonna give you a perfect model when you look at it, but difficult to edit. So if I just go here and I just go to the display, I want to deactivate the mesh errors so we can see, and it looks okay. This could be okay to be a sculpture. It looks fine with a lot of details there on the surface. Well, that's representing a sculpture, and you probably want to do that if you want to create a sculpture also in MUDBOX. But let's see here, if we start to sculpt, we can see that all the polygons are pushed away, and they're like the mesh is like being disintegrated. It's like losing the integrity. So this is an issue concerning those like missing seams or missing uh, merged vertices. So it looks beautiful here. Now we also have the wireframe, and if we deactivate the wireframe, now we can try to rebuild the mesh in the mesh menu, but I think that nothing happened here. So sometimes just by clicking on rebuild is gonna like fix some issues, but I don't think it did anything here. So let's try again. Yeah, you can see it's not good. Now you can see I press W to turn the wireframe off, And you can see that the mesh is looking good. And if we go in the display also here, let's look at the double-sided or show both side. Now this is another option we talked about previously. And when you do show both sides, you will be able also to see like the other side of the polygon, because each face, each polygon is composed by a front and a back. And usually when you see the polygon from the back, is not visible. It's going to be like transparent or invisible. So when you do double side or back side, it's going to show also the other side of the polygon. So it's going to look like an actual surface, like a really thin surface. Now, how we can fix this? Well, remember that anytime you're going to import, you probably, if the model is not created correctly, you're going to have issues. Now I'm going to show you this other one here, which is still giving me issues, but I modified this into Blender, and this should look better. Yeah, you can see that if I sculpt on that, I will not lose the integrity and all the polygons will stay together. Now this is a really strong brush and really big for what we need to do, so I'm going to decrease the size a little bit, and now it's a little bit better, and also the strength. So those two are the most important parameters of the brush. Now you can see it's barely visible, but it's there. I'm changing the geometry by pushing and pulling the polygons, the faces, and well, you can also type directly the strength. Okay, now this is kind of a well balanced brush to sculpt and change the 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 shape of this sculpture. Now let's go back in Blender. You can see also the texture here if you change into shaded mode or render mode in Blender. So it looks really realistic, and this is how a sculpture should be reconstructed in 3D. So if you want to sculpt at the professional level, you can see here how you can sculpt the hair and the nose, the eyes, the lips. So you can take inspiration from these models and become a great sculptor, a great artist in MUDBOX. Now also here we have the smooth effect, and if you right click you can go to smooth shaded, so you can smooth all the surfaces. But all these defects, those are actually part of the model itself. This is not like the surface there, you can see it's kind of noisy surface. Well, that's because it's representing a piece of rock essentially that have been like sculpted out in all its details. So that's a really realistic model because it's actually a picture taken from reality. But our goal is to do the same thing starting from scratch in MUDBOX, but we're gonna do that later. Now to fix the issues of the vertices, I'm just gonna switch from the object mode to the edit mode, and I'm going to select all the vertices here using the vertex selection. I can also do select all in a similar way that I do in MUDBOX. So select all the vertices, and now we need to merge them together. So right click and go to merge vertices and use by distance. Now the last thing is to try to understand which is the correct distance, because if it's too big it's gonna like I don't know, crunch everything together. If it's too small it's not gonna do anything, so you need to find the correct measure. So right now it's kind of 1 millimeter, so 0.001 meters, and just click and it's gonna apply that transformation. So this should fix the issue, as you saw also later. This is what I've done essentially to fix the issue of the polygon model. So right now you can see it changed a little bit, and if I go back to the object mode I can see the texture is still there, the geometry is still there, so you just fix it. And then again I export using the same export commands that I've used earlier. So I'm just gonna go to File, Export, FBX, and there you go. This is the other one. So the second one, it's the fixed one. So let's go back into MUDBOX, and that's the model that you just saw, which you can see it's now good to be used as a sculpting base, so I can sculpt on top of that. And you can see that by changing the size of the standard sculpt, we can already see that we can sculpt like veins or hairs or little details or larger details. So it's really important to define the size and the strength of the sculpting brush, but we're gonna see this later on. So this will be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe to the channel to stay updated. And if you want to support us, if you want to give us a little thank you, you can join the channel as a supporter. This will help us to create more videos and also video guides and courses. And don't forget to check the other videos about Blender and about Polycom and so on. So again, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.